I saved every penny for months to buy my wife a necklace. But when I gave it to her, she laughed and said her friend's husband got something far better. And at that moment I understood I could never make her truly happy. It started with a necklace. Sounds, right? How a piece of jewelry destroyed everything I thought I loved. Sarah had been dropping hints for months. Her friend Jessica got this gorgeous diamond pendant from her husband for their anniversary, and Sarah couldn't stop talking about it. Every conversation somehow circled back to that necklace, how thoughtful Jessica's husband was, how lucky she was to have someone who really pays attention. I worked construction then, barely making enough to cover our mortgage and groceries. But I wanted to be that husband. The one who pays attention, the one who makes his wife feel special. So I started skipping lunch, walked to work instead of taking the bus, picked weekend shifts until my back screamed. Every dollar I could scrape together went into a coffee can hidden behind the water heater. For 3 months I lived on bologna sandwiches and determination. The necklace wasn't much, a small pendant with a tiny diamond that probably came from a vending machine for all I knew. But it was real and it was mine to give her. And I was so proud walking into that jewelry store with my crumpled bills. Sarah's birthday fell on a Saturday. I had planned this whole thing out, dinner at home, candles, the works. I was nervous as when I handed her that little velvet box she opened it, the good kind of laugh. The kind that cuts through chest and leaves bleeding on the floor. "Oh honey," she said, holding the necklace like it was a joke gift. "This is sweet, but Jessica just showed me what David got her for no reason at all. A full carat solitaire this." She gestured at my 3 months of sacrifice. "This is more like something get a teenager." I stood there watching my wife examine my gift like it was defective merchandise. She wasn't mean about it, which somehow made it worse. She was just disappointed. Like I was a child who tried his best but couldn't quite reach the table. "We can return it," she said gently, "maybe save for something nicer." That's when it hit me. The realization that nearly brought me to my knees right there in our dining room. No matter what I did, how hard I worked, how much I sacrificed, I would never be enough for her. I would always be the discount version of the husband she actually wanted. Something died in me that night. I could tell it was just my feelings that died, but it was worse than that. It was my sense of right and wrong. My understanding of who I was supposed to be. 2 weeks later, I met Emma at a coffee shop near the job site. She was everything Sarah wasn't. She thought my work boots were attractive, not embarrassing. She listened when I talked about my day instead of scrolling through her phone. When I bought her a $5 coffee, she acted like I'd handed her diamonds. I told it was just friendship. Just conversation with someone who appreciated me. But I knew I was lying even then. Every text message, every lingering look, every time I deleted our conversation history, I knew exactly what I was building toward. The first time I tasted betrayal on my lips and didn't stop. Because for 10 minutes in that parking lot, I felt like the man I thought I was supposed to be. Important, value enough. I was so hungry for that feeling that I convinced I deserved it. Sarah never suspected, why would she? I was just her reliable, predictable husband who worked hard and came home tired. The kind of man who saved for months to buy disappointing jewelry, not the kind who would risk everything for attention from a stranger. For 2 months, I lived a double. I became an expert at lying, at covering tracks, at looking my wife in the eye while planning my next betrayal. I thought I was being clever. I thought I was finally taking something for. I was just being pathetic. The morning it all fell apart started like any other. Sarah was getting ready for work, complaining about traffic and her boss and the weather. Normal married couple stuff. I was checking my phone, probably reading some text from Emma, when Sarah's phone buzzed on the counter. "Can't see who that is." She called from upstairs. I picked her phone and felt my world. The message was from Emma. "Husband left his wedding ring at my place last night. Should I drop it by work or wait for him to pick it?" I stared at those words until they burned into my brain. Emma had sent it to Sarah instead of me. Wrong contact. Simple mistake that destroyed everything. My legs gave out. I actually fell to my knees in our kitchen, still holding Sarah's phone, watching my marriage in real time. Sarah's footsteps on the stairs sounded like a countdown, each step bringing her closer to the moment our together would end forever. And all I could think about was that necklace. How none of this would have happened if she had just been grateful. If I had just been enough. But that's the thing about rock bottom. Always think can blame someone else for the shovel in hands. The truth is, I chose to dig. Sarah's footsteps stopped at the bottom of the stairs. "Who was it?" she called out, her voice light and trusting, still believing in the man she married. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't do anything but stare at the phone in my trembling hands like it was a loaded pointed at my chest. "Everything okay?" I heard her walking toward the kitchen. 10 seconds, maybe 15 before she would see me kneeling on our tile floor. Destroyed by a text message meant for me. My brain kicked into survival mode. Delete it. Delete the message and pretend it never happened. Emma would realize her mistake. We could figure something out. Damage control. But my fingers wouldn't move. Maybe some part of me knew I deserved this. Maybe I was tired of carrying the weight of what I'd become. "Oh my God, what happened?" Sarah rushed over, probably thinking I'd fallen or gotten air. Her voice died when she saw her phone in my hands. Saw my face. Saw the truth written in my expression like a confession. She took the phone from me without a word. Read the message once, twice, 3 times. I watched her face change, watched 15 years of trust crumble in real time. "Who is Emma?" Her voice was barely a whisper. I wanted to lie. Even then, kneeling in the wreckage of our marriage, I wanted to find some way to spin this. Make it smaller than it was. But the words wouldn't come. "How long?" she asked. 2 months, I heard say. The truth fell out of me like I couldn't swallow anymore. Sarah stepped backward like I'd hit her. Her hand went to her chest, to the spot where that disappointing necklace would have sat if she'd ever worn it. 2 months. She repeated it like she was trying to understand a foreign language. Been for 2 months. "Sarah, I can explain. It wasn't supposed to happen. It just, G-oat." The words exploded out of her with a force that made me flinch. This woman who never raised her voice, who apologized to waiters when they got our order wrong, who cried at commercials with puppies. "Sarah, please, G-oat." Numb, she was shaking. Actually shaking with rage and betrayal. I'd done this to her. I'd taken my gentle, trusting wife and turned her into this broken thing screaming at me in our kitchen. I stood on unsteady legs. Where am I supposed to go? The laugh that came out of her was worse than the screaming empty. Dead. I don't care. Go to Emma's, go to hotel. Go to. I don't care anymore. The house is half mine. I said and immediately hated for saying it. Even in that moment I was thinking about protecting. Then can have half when the lawyers figure it out. But not sleeping under this roof tonight. Not ever again. She turned away from me, gripping the counter like she might collapse. I need gone before I do something we'll both regret. I wanted to argue that we could work through this, that people make mistakes, that marriages survive affairs all the time. But looking at her standing there destroyed by my choices, I knew this wasn't something worked through. This was something from. I packed a bag while she sat in our living room, staring at the wall, silent tears running down her face. I kept expecting her to say something, to ask questions or scream at me or beg me to stay and fix this. She didn't say a word. When I carried my suitcase downstairs she was holding that little jewelry box. The one with the necklace that started everything. She opened it and looked at the tiny diamond like it was evidence in a trial. 3 months, she said without looking at me. Told me save for 3 months. I stopped at the door. Yeah. We're planning this the whole time, weren't? The affair. Needed me to disappoint so could justify it. The accusation hit me like a physical. No Sarah, that's not. Gave me gift designed to make me feel bad. And when I reacted exactly how wanted me to, gotta play the victim. Poor husband, nothing's ever good enough for his ungrateful wife. She finally looked at me and I saw something worse than anger in her eyes. I saw understanding. She'd figured out the game I'd been playing without even realizing I was playing it. Wanted me to be the villain so could be the victim. But know what? Or just a coward who was looking for an excuse to throw away 15 years because someone paid attention to at a coffee shop. I wanted to deny it, but the words died in my throat. Because maybe she was right. Maybe I had set her to fail so I could justify doing what I wanted to do anyway. Don't contact me, she said turning back to the necklace. Don't come by. Don't try to fix this, there's nothing left to fix. I walked out of our house and into my car, and I knew I would never walk back in. Not as her husband, maybe not ever. The first person I called was Emma. Thank God, she said when she heard my voice. I am so sorry. I can't believe I sent that to the wrong number. Is everything okay? My marriage is over, I told her. There was a pause. I'm sorry, I really am, but maybe this is for the best. Now we don't have to sneak around anymore. I hung on her. Because that's when it really hit me. Emma wasn't some grand love affair worth destroying my for. She was just attention. Validation. A way to feel important when my wife made me feel small. I traded 15 years of marriage, a home, a partner who had loved me despite my flaws for coffee shop conversations and parking lot kisses with someone who barely knew my last name. The motel room I checked into smelled like cigarettes and disinfectant. I sat on the scratchy bedspread and tried to call my brother, my parents, someone who might help me make sense of what I'd done. But I couldn't. Because explaining it meant admitting the truth. I'd destroyed everything good in because my wife didn't react to a gift the way I wanted her to. The next morning, I called in sick to work. And the day after that, and the day after that. By the end of the week, my foreman called to tell me not to bother coming back. Word had gotten around. Sarah had told her sister, who told her husband, who worked with my cousin, who told everyone at the job site. In a town this small, there's no hiding from what done. I'd become that guy. The one who cheated on his wife. The one don't trust around family. Emma stopped answering my calls after the first week. I guess homewrecking loses its appeal when there's actual homelessness involved. The divorce papers arrived at the motel on a Tuesday. Sarah was asking for half of everything and sole ownership of the house. She had every right to take me for everything I had. Instead, she was being fair. Even in her pain, even after what I'd done to her, she was being more decent than I deserved. That's when I understood the real cost of what I'd done. It wasn't just losing Sarah. It was losing the right to be the kind of man she thought I was. The man I used to be before I let disappointment turn me into a liar and a cheat. I signed the papers without reading them. Because some mistakes don't get fixed. They just get lived with. And I was going to be living with this one for the rest of my. 6 months later, I'm writing this from a different motel room in a different town. Same smell though. Same stained carpet. Same feeling like I'm disappearing a little more each day. The divorce was finalized last month. I didn't contest anything. Sarah kept the house, the good car, most of our savings. I got my tools in the truck with 200,000 miles and a check engine light that's been on since 2019. I thought starting over in a new place would help. Clean slate, fresh start. All those cliches people throw around when implodes. But here's what nobody tells about rock bottom: the follow wherever go. My new coworkers don't know about Sarah or Emma or what I did, but they know something's wrong with me. Can see it in how they interact with me. Polite but distant, like I'm radioactive. Maybe am. I tried calling Sarah once, about 3 months after the papers were signed. I told it was about some mail that got forwarded to my P.O. box, but really I just wanted to hear her voice. Wanted to know if she was okay. She answered on the 4th ring. What do want? Her voice was different. Colder, harder. I'd done that to her too. I got some mail. I lied. Credit card offer. Should I forward it or wait? Don't call me again unless someone's dead. The line went quiet and I almost hung, but then I heard asking, "Are okay? How are doing?" The laugh that came through the phone was sharp enough to glass. How am I doing? I'm in therapy twice a week trying to figure out what was wrong with me that made my husband of 15 years decide I wasn't worth staying faithful to. I can't sleep without. I can't trust my own judgment about people anymore. I look at every couple I see and wonder which one is lying to the other. That's how I'm doing. Sarah, I do know what the worst part is. It's not even the cheating. It's knowing that planned it. That set me to fail that night with the necklace so could feel justified in destroying us. I didn't plan anything, it just happened. Nothing just happens. Made choices. Every day for 2 months chose her over me, over us. Over 15 years of marriage. So don't call me pretending care how I'm doing. Stopped caring the first time her. She hung and I sat in my truck outside a 7-Eleven crying like a child. Because she was right, about all of it. The worst part wasn't losing Sarah though. The worst part was losing. I used to be a good man. Not perfect but decent. I helped neighbors with home repairs. I remembered birthdays. I stopped to help strangers with flat tires. I was the kind of person could count on. Now I'm the kind of person who destroys marriages, who lies without thinking, who takes vows and throws them away when someone prettier pays attention to me. I see Emma sometimes on social media. She's dating someone new already. Some guy with a nice smile and a clean conscience who probably doesn't know he's just the next temporary source of validation for a woman who helps married men cheat on their wives. In her pictures she looks happy. Unaffected. Like our 2-month affair was just a blip in her instead of a nuclear that leveled mine. Maybe that's how it should be. Maybe I was always the only one with everything to lose. I drive past our old house sometimes when I have work in that part of town. Sarah's car isn't there anymore. Different curtains in the windows. A for sale sign on the front lawn. She's moving on, starting over. Probably in therapy, working through the damage I did, learning to trust again. I hope she finds someone better. Someone who gives her gifts that make her smile instead of setting traps to justify betrayal. Someone who loves her enough to stay faithful when marriage gets hard. Someone who's nothing like me. My parents don't call anymore. My brother sends obligatory birthday texts but never asks how I'm doing. My friends, well, I don't have friends anymore. Turns out most people don't want to associate with someone who destroys his family over a bruised ego. The loneliness is the hardest part. Not just being alone, but knowing I deserve to be alone. Knowing that this isolation is the natural consequence of my choices. Sometimes I think about dating again. There are apps, websites, bars full of people looking for connection. But what would I tell them? I'm a cheater who destroyed a 15-year marriage because my wife didn't appreciate my gift enough. Hi, I'm the kind of man who throws away everything good and is for validation from strangers. What kind of person wants to build something with that? The truth is, I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve love or companionship or a fresh start. I deserve exactly what I have: a motel room, a job where nobody knows my name, and the knowledge that the best thing in my ended because I wasn't man enough to handle disappointment without betraying the person I promised to cherish. Sarah's therapy is working, I hope. She's learning that she wasn't the problem. That my betrayal was about my weakness, not her inadequacy. Me, I'm learning that some mistakes don't get forgiven. They don't get worked through or moved past. They just get carried, like stones in pocket, making every step harder than it has to be. I still have that necklace, the one that started everything. Found it in a box of stuff Sarah returned to me through her lawyer. She included a note. Should keep this. It's a perfect reminder of who really are. She's right, it is perfect. A cheap symbol of a cheap man who convinced himself he deserved better than what he had. I wear it sometimes under my work shirt where nobody can see it. A hair shirt made of gold and real regret. Because that's what I am now. What I've always been, maybe. Just took the right circumstances to show it. A man who saves for months to buy his wife a disappointment, then uses her disappointment to justify destroying everything they built together. Some people learn from their mistakes and become better. Some people hit rock bottom and bounce back stronger. And some people just break. I know which one I am.